This is Create This Book 3. This is Rizzy. Say hi, Rizzy.
Hi, Rizzy.
Today is an exciting day for Rizzy. Today, she will be starting her own series of Create This Book 3. Look at that smile. You may wonder, well, what happened to Create This Book 1 and 2? And to that I say, let's just get that out of there. We're starting with 3. But what is Create This Book? I'm glad you asked. Create This Book is a series of art activity books created by YouTube's own Moriah Elizabeth. The books come with around 100 art prompts each. The goal of these prompts is merely to spark creativity in whoever is deciding to fill the book out. I know Rizzy could use a creativity spark, so let's go. The first page that we're going to get into is Create a Fresh Start. Decorate this page in things that remind you of new beginnings. All right, voiceover Rizzy taking over. I'm using what I think is adhesive shipping label paper. I didn't even buy this stuff. It was kind of just around and it worked perfectly for me, so I decided to use it. First, I cut out some boxes to account for the instructions that I still want visible. Then I did my sketching off camera. As you can see, I went for a newborn theme because why not? New beginnings equals new life, and plus I really like babies. She's freshly inked and ready to go, and don't let these quick transitions fool you. This took hours. My hands were actively cramping up, so I had to continue to crack my knuckles in order to feel comfortable. After the knuckles were freshly cracked, it was on to the coloring. Since it's a new beginning and the baby is newborn, I decided to give it one of those little pink and blue striped newborn blankets from the hospital. Before anyone mentions it, I know that the baby is really tiny. We're just gonna say that it's the dad holding it, and the dad's hands are just really big. Speaking of hands, oh my gosh, I've never drawn a pair of hands that look as good as the ones on this page in my life. And you will see proof of that toward the end of the video because I draw another pair of hands and those boys are rough. Crappy hands or not though, that page has to be my favorite in the book so far. You'll see, it gets weird. Back to this page though, because she's where it's at right now. Fun fact, I actually did this page last out of all the 3 pages that I did in the episode, but I just put it first because, it made sense. I also don't think I've explained much on the page. I think it's very straightforward, but I'll explain it still. So we have a newborn baby wrapped in a newborn baby blanket from the hospital. We got that check. Okay, and I surrounded the baby with all things that reminded me of babies. So we have a bib, a couple pacifiers, a bottle, a sock, a safety pin, because diapers. So yeah, that's basically all. Like I said, the page is pretty straightforward. Oh yeah, and since I have seen people tell what supplies they use, I guess I'll go ahead and tell you guys what I used. For this page in particular, I used only alcohol markers. For the rest of the book, I used alcohol markers as well as color pencils, but for this page, it was just a mixture of Copics and Ohuhus. We're finally putting the pages in the book, and this part of the process was so satisfying. Even though this was just shipping label paper, it actually held the markers really well. There was bleed, but nothing went over to the other side. Maybe it's something about the paper, but it was really, really good. And this is the page completed. I'm very, very happy with how it came out. I even added a little rubber ducky and bubbles. The next page we're gonna get into is Create Disaster. Draw a landscape or setting in ruin. All right, voiceover Rizzy is back. Once again, first thing I did was cut a little window so the instructions can peek through. Then I proceeded to crack my knuckles once again. Fingies were really cramping up. I plan all of these pages out on my tablet before I come in and draw it on the paper first. So when you see me drawing them on the paper, it's when I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do already. The setting that I went with for my disaster was on the inside of an anthill. As you'll soon be able to see, the disaster I chose was flooding, and there's a bunch of ants just running for their lives. I drew kind of a split page, so in the top corner you see exactly what is causing the flooding. We have a happy family enjoying a nice picnic beside the river, but what the mom and dad don't realize is that their son is pouring water into the anthill. So while above ground is all smiles and laughter, Below is more panic and mayhem. For this page, I used a mixture of Copic markers, Ohuhu markers, and some Prismacolor color pencils. Also, there was a couple of Crayola color pencils thrown in there. And I also used some Copic fine liners that I had for years, and I did not expect them to work, but I tried them and they still did. So I used a mixture of Copic fine liners and some cheap fine liners from Amazon. Here's a fun little tidbit. According to my own logic, these ants are all naked. You may find yourself thinking, Rizzy, ants don't wear clothes. Apparently they do, and these ones aren't. So yeah, they're all naked, which is fine because they're all ants. You're not seeing anything except exoskeleton, I think. Either way, they're running for their lives. Maybe they didn't have enough time to grab clothes. Give them a little break. Moving away from the tragedy itself and on to the culprits of the tragedy, let's color this top scene. I imagine mom and dad as high school sweethearts who no one thought would work out, but they still keep defying logic every single day. Dad is always really goofy and just lives to see mom laugh. Mom is still dumbstruck and in love after all of these years and a child. Their love is the thing that keeps them afloat in a world that can be so dark and terrifying. Meanwhile, their son ends an entire civilization. It's just this multifaceted, interesting story that wasn't at all thought up just because I wanted to draw ants running from water, which I will admit I did have a fun time doing, but that's besides the point. All in all, I'll say this page went pretty well. I've had to cut so much footage because my hair keeps getting in the way. This stuff honestly has a mind of its own. Can we just talk about for a second how this is supposed to be a whole picnic and the menu is water and watermelon? Either dad really fumbled the ball when it was time to pack food for the picnic, or I just wasn't confident enough when it came to drawing food. But we won't talk about that. Anywho, here's the page completed. And with a nice satisfying ripping of the sticker paper and slapping it in the book in place, we are done. Page 2 is now complete. And now on to my favorite page, the drama, page 3. Our third and final page of the episode is Create Melodrama. I kind of cheated a little bit. Okay, I'll explain. The instructions of the page say, think of something that happened to you today that was a minor inconvenience, then tell it as the most melodramatic story ever. I did indeed take something that was a very minor inconvenience in the scope of life, but I didn't make it a sob story. What I took from the page was take a minor inconvenience and make it dramatic. And so that's what I did in a very odd way. Just look. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be doing an episode of Create This Book. I'm gonna just grab my supplies and then we'll get started. I'm so excited.
911, what's your emergency?
Send help. I'm stuck. Die here! I guess you won't be sticking around after all. Okay, so obviously my minor inconvenience was getting tape stuck to my foot, and I wanted to be real dramatic about it. There was something so attractive about turning something so small into such a big deal, so I just went for it. For my page design, I decided to create a movie poster for my non-existent movie, The Tape Trap, which honestly seemed like the only thing I could do after I got the idea in my head. This page is darker and a little bit more suspenseful than the others, but it had to go with the movie, so I mean, I had no choice. It was so serious yet so silly at the same time, and I was just all about it. And like I said, this page did turn out to be my
favorite, and that's probably because it's based on a fake silly movie. Either way, I had fun making it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. So obviously the page is a movie poster based on the movie, but since the instructions said to tell the story, I decided to write a short synopsis of what the movie's about, and you'll see that at the end. The movie poster shows me wrapped up in tape, as well as the tape that's stuck to the bottom of my sock in the trailer. Apparently this is some pretty vengeful and bloodthirsty tape, because when you try to free yourself from it, it will rally into an angry mob and try to attack you and take you down. When the idea first came to mind, it was supposed to be just me struggling with that one piece of tape for the whole trailer, but as I was filming, I was just like, what if there were more pieces of tape? What if there was an army of tape? What if the tape roll chased you? So then it just kept escalating, and I just kept going with it. The more dramatic, the better. In the end, I'm very pleased with the amount of drama that this page represents. Now it's just time to stick the pages in the book, and that will be our third and final page complete.
And that's all for this episode. If you would like to see more of this series as it's created, then make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on so you can be notified whenever I post. I still don't have an outro, so I'm just gonna say see you next time and bye.